Hey guys, it's your buddy Moo here. So this is a bit of a bummer to talk about today, but sometimes the government gets involved with things for the benefit and it turns out really well, and sometimes the government gets involved and things do not turn out so well, and a man in New York has found this out. We have an article from USA Today and it says social media star Peanut, the squirrel, has been euthanized after being seized from New York home. I know, right? Spoilers. There's a quote here. It's been a terrible nightmare for me, Mark Longo, owner of Pnut, said in an Instagram video Friday morning. So 2 days after he was seized from his home in New York, Pnut the squirrel has been euthanized. The New York State Department of Environmental Conservation and the Chemung County Department of Health announced through a statement on Friday afternoon that both a squirrel and raccoon confiscated from a residence on Wednesday had been euthanized to test for rabies. The statement said a person involved with the confiscation investigation was bitten by the squirrel. Okay, that's what we need to focus on here. The person got bit by the squirrel and had him euthanized. A person got bit by someone's pet squirrel and had it euthanized. Because to test for rabies, you have to test the brain. To do that, you have to euthanize the animal. This person working for the department, basically, knowing this squirrel had been raised by a person, was not exhibiting any signs of rabies, therefore was not fucking rabid, decided to put the squirrel down because it was pissed off that the squirrel bit him. Let's be real. That's what happens when the government gets too involved. Unfortunately. Now, Pnut the squirrel, who boasted 534,000 followers on Instagram, he has a bigger following than I do across the board, was taken from his home in Pine City, New York by the New York Department of Environmental Conservation on Wednesday morning. Pnut, also known as Peanut, just a P and then N-U-T, was the beloved pet of content creator Mark Longo. More than 1,400 posts shared to Instagram, Peanut can be seen munching on waffles, jumping through hula hoops, and greeting Longo home from work. According to the DEC and the health department statement, rabies had been found in raccoons in New York's southern tier, which include Pine City, for more than 30 years. Okay, you're talking about raccoons that are obvious. Raccoons, once an animal gets rabid, it's pretty clear they're rabid. It doesn't take long for them to start exhibiting signs of rabidity. If an animal is kept in a person's home and kept away from that, there's no reason to think that they're going to be rabid if it's been for any long period of time. The raccoon may be more questionable, but apparently the squirrel had been in this man's possession for a long time. So over the past several days, Longo has shared several statements on Pnut's Instagram account, keeping fans updated in hopes that Pnut may return home. At the time of publication, Longo had not posted in regards to the recent news. It's been a terrible nightmare for me, he said in one of his most recent videos, posted Friday, as we went into, and then it shows the Instagram link. In response to Pnut's seizure, a Change.org petition and GoFundMe campaign were created to return him to his family as of Friday afternoon. Well, that's not going to work, guys. The petition had 28,025 signatures, and the GoFundMe had raised $7,800. Why do animals have to be euthanized to test for rabies, which I already said? But according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, animals showing signs of rabies must be euthanized for the submission of specimen to be qualified to a qualified rabies laboratory for testing. This is because a rabies test includes a cross-examination of tissue from both the brainstem and the cerebellum. There are no approved methods for testing rabies in animals ante-mortem. So there are methods, they just are not approved. In case you're wondering, there are ways to test for rabies. But once again, the government gets involved and says, no, we're only going to approve it if we know with absolute certainty that it's there. We know it's there if it's in the brain. The only way we're going to approve that is to kill the animal. Therein is an issue. The government is involved too much again. Guys, this is going to be coming to your home in more ways than you know. Not to sound like a conspiracy nut, but it's happening more and more every day. In New York some years ago, we saw them outlaw larger sodas for sale. I'm not kidding. I think it was Cuomo was governor at the time, and it was a big thing about how you, as an individual, aren't intelligent enough to decide what's healthy for you, so the government has to be involved in your diet, which is fucking crazy. That's all it is. Now, the New York Department of Environmental Conservation and Chemung County Department of Health advised that anyone who has been in contact with the seized raccoon or squirrel consult a physician. It did not say that they were positive for rabies, which we would know by business day Monday because I had to go to a lab Friday. So we'll know in a couple days. It doesn't take long for the rabies examination to come back positive or negative. Longo first connected with Pnut when he saw the squirrel's mom get hit by a car, per previous USA Today reporting. Unfortunately, the mother passed, leaving Pnut an orphan. Longo was unsuccessful in finding a shelter that would take him in. Longo ended up feeding baby Pnut for about 8 months before attempting to release him back into the wild. Which, yeah, no, you can't do that. When you are raised an animal since that small, they become dependent on you. They basically inscribe themselves as part of you. I can't remember what's called, grafting or something. They become attached to you, like you're their caregiver until they become old enough to defend themselves and take care of themselves. This is how domestication happens, and this is something that the county, the government should have been involved in thinking about a little more. You could have left that squirrel in isolation and checked for it. Alternatively, the person that got bit could have been tested for rabies. I'm going to tell you why they didn't get tested for rabies. They didn't get tested for rabies because rabies testing a human is completely safe, but also incredibly uncomfortable. They stick you in the stomach with a really long needle to test your guts, which is crazy considering how they test for rabies in animals. You would think they would be able to test for rabies in animals the same way as people, but apparently it's not approved. Now, back to the story. I released him in the backyard, and a day and a half later, I found him sitting on my porch missing half his tail. Well, yeah, because he got attacked by an animal. So here I am, bawling my eyes out like I failed you as a human, Longo told USA Today in 2022, and I kind of opened the door and he ran inside, and that was the last of Pnut's wildlife career. Yeah, no, that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. There isn't. I don't care. This is not an endangered animal. This is not an endangered species animal. This is a squirrel. They're relatively easy to keep as pets and to raise and to train and domesticate. They're intelligent creatures. They're similar to rabbits, which rabbits are way more intelligent. Rabbits are akin to dogs. They're crazy smart. I know. Ask me. I have one. For the first 5 years, Longo, Pnut, and Longo's cat Chloe lived together in harmony. So the cat wasn't even fazed by this squirrel, guys. They're easy to domesticate. Last year, Longo established Pnut's Freedom Farm and Animal Sanctuary in Pine City. The nonprofit serves as a haven where negligent and homeless animals receive a second chance at life, which is amazing. This guy adopts a squirrel, and it turns in his heart this idea to start this. This is a good thing all around, New York. Why wouldn't you want something like this? Why wouldn't you want more of this to go on? According to the website, to date, 18 horses, 1 mini horse, 4 cows, 3 alpacas, 1 parrot, 1 pig, and 2 geese call the sanctuary home, according to the website. Well, that'll be until New York gets involved and they have a big barbecue, I'm sure. Which they won't invite you to because you're a plebeian as a New Yorker, not good government people who know what they can and can't eat. USA Today contacted Longo, but was unsuccessful in connecting with him for an interview. Now, is it legal for squirrels to be kept as pets in New York? Now, as I already said, it's illegal in most places to keep wild animals. New York is no different. The New York Department of Environmental Conservation states that it is illegal for young wildlife to be kept as pets. Inappropriate care given to young wildlife often results in abnormal attachment to humans. Motherfucker, how many of you guys own animals as pets? I bet people in that environmental department have pets. How do you think domestication works? That is the start of domestication. That is step 1, grafting with the animal, getting them to be used to being domesticated. Then you breed lines of them to be domesticated. They don't start domesticated, they start wild, and they get domesticated over time. People in the Department of Environmental Conservation, though, they don't understand that. I get it when it comes to certain species. When it comes to species, it can become problematic to the environment overall if it gets loose. There's giant snakes roaming around in the bayous and the fucking Everglades in Florida that don't belong there. There are nutrias all up and down Oregon that are super disastrous for the environment. That was started as a pet that got released into the wild. Those are important. Squirrels are fucking squirrels, dude. We're talking about squirrels. They're basically domesticated anyway. See how many of them will hang out. If you have a yard with a tree that squirrels will hang out in, like a bird feeder, you'll notice the same squirrels will come to you season after season. One of the first steps he'll do after hibernation, if they're in your area, is go to your house, to go to your yard, to your bird feeder to eat the bird seed. It's a thing they do. I don't think the people that work at the the conservation departments, even though they're supposed to have backgrounds and education in this, I don't think it's a very good education. Or they just don't understand there's intricacies to these rules. And the bureaucrats, dude, they need to get involved in a little different manner, like not being involved. There should be circumstances like this that are, given regency over it. I don't understand why there shouldn't have been a way for him to have if they showed up with a warrant or something and said, we're going to seize the animal, he should have been able to go to a court and subpoena it and go through a trial before the animal was euthanized. That's all there is to it. There should have been a stay on it, and the human that got bit should have gone and taken a rabies test. You hear this all the time about cops. People on that side of the fence will be like, well, you know, the cops, they put themselves in that line of work. They should expect some danger. Motherfucker, you went to go seize a wild animal. Of course you're going to get bit. You put yourself in the line of danger, right? So maybe just take a rabies test, you little bitch. That's what it's about. Anyway, sorry, I'm a little frustrated by this. It's different when you adopt, like, say, a deer. They're a much different animal to take care of. Or a wild cat, a feral cat, a mountain lion, something like that. Makes sense. This doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense at all. I'm sorry. I don't give a shit what you think. You're wrong. It doesn't make sense. Squirrels are chill. If that squirrel had rabies, homeboy would have known about it by now. He's had the squirrel for 4 fucking years. 5 years. Inappropriate care given to wildlife. I already read that part. Some become nuisances, getting into. This is the real problem New York has with it. Some become nuisances getting into stored food, trash cans, or dwellings, and some may be thrust as unwelcome intruders into the home range of another member of species. This is a fucking squirrel, you idiots. It's a squirrel. They are native to New York. They're in that area. How do you think he came across it? This was not an animal that was brought in from another fucking place. It's a squirrel. They're all over the fucking country, dude. They're everywhere in the United States that there's trees, there's squirrels and chipmunks. It's not an invasive freaking species. I don't understand why people are so stupid that get into these jobs. They get a little bit of power and they just take over. If an individual finds a young wild animal that is injured or orphaned, the department recommends making a call to the wildlife rehabilitator, who are the only people legally allowed to receive and treat distressed wildlife. Another important thing about those are usually government-run agencies. Usually, not always, but they do get a chunk of government funding. They get your tax money. Keeps it in the system. What doesn't happen, and the ones that are privatized have to pay their taxes. What doesn't happen is if you adopt and properly care for an animal like this man did and raise it to be your own, you don't pay taxes on that. What really happens is New York's pissed off because they don't have a way to license and tag that squirrel as a pet to charge you for it. That's why there's dog licenses, cat licenses, things like that. It's easy to get a cat license and a dog license. Pretty much everywhere requires you to do it, and every place that requires it requires you to pay them for it. There's a reason for this, because they want your money, and that's the only reason. They can play it off like it's something else. It's the only real reason. Everything comes down to money with people like this. It's fucking disgusting. But they want to rehabilitate the animal to put it back in the wild. Here's the problem. A lot of those animals, once rehabilitated, do not survive in the wild, rehabilitated or not. I know they say they do. I know they act like they do. I've been to more than one release of a wild animal for rehabilitation where within minutes you see a bird swoop down and take that son of a gun right off the ground. Didn't survive long. It's not always the case, but there's not always the case with the squirrels, dude. And this is one of those things that should have been handled much differently. Now we can go to Twitter. Oh my God, is Pnut trending on Twitter? This is how I even found out. Sorry, X, Elon. This is how I even found out about it. Pnut is trending. It's the number 2 trending right now on my line. Wanted, killing a squirrel. Sean Maher office. Okay, so this is, I guess, the guy that pulled the plug on the animal, is my assumption here. This is just so... I'm guessing Fred is a raccoon, but, man. Peanuts. Now, this reminds me of the Harambe thing. I didn't get as involved in that because, reasons. But this is freaking just terrible. Let's see what Homeboy's going to say about it.
We just learned that they have euthanized Pnut.
Let me change this over to...
And the raccoon as well.
And they euthanize the raccoon. That is a very well-fed, domesticated squirrel, folks.
It not only tears my family apart, but Pnut was the cornerstone of our nonprofit animal rescue. And 10 to 12 DEC officers raided my house as if I was a drug dealer.
Okay, yeah. See, this is an issue. This is a big fucking issue. This guy's charity was based a lot on the social media content provided with that squirrel. Now the government has created a hardship for this person. They could argue, well, it was an illegal rescue. Sure, why not? They could argue that. But after a certain amount of time, I think that argument should be probably whitewashed or thrown out. This should have gone to court. This shouldn't have gone to euthanizing an animal because some idiot worker didn't understand domesticated versus undomesticated animal. That's what it boils down to. I don't know exactly who the wildlife worker was that sees the animal, but they should probably be slapped upside the fucking head with a lawsuit. And I hope this guy sues them. I hope this guy turns around and sues for all the money, because New York needs to get sued a lot more than it does.
I was sat outside my house for 5 hours. I had to get a police escort to my bathroom. I wasn't even allowed to feed my rescue horses breakfast or lunch. I was sat there like a criminal.
What if those horses were sick? Now, this is the problem. Government just comes onto your property and they can just do whatever the fuck they want. That's fucking disgusting. This is what happened. Like, I don't agree with everything that happened with Waco and the Koresh people. Yeah, there should have been some more investigation, but it didn't have to go down that way. Ruby Ridge, a woman and a baby were murdered by a sniper. It's not something to be proud of. The guy was proud of it, wore it like a badge. He murdered a woman and her baby over a dog. And because the government set the guy up in the first place. There was a sting operation, and they set the guy up. And they murdered a bunch of his family. And this is a little more dramatic, but this is where it goes. This is what the government does when they get too involved. I'm not completely anti-government. I'm very pro-police. I'm very pro-cop. Don't get me wrong there. I'm hugely pro-military. But when it comes to the bureaucrats that get involved and the lawmakers, they're so out of touch with the day-to-day livings of individuals, and they just look down on you. Believe it or not, those people do not have your best intentions in their mind. What they have in mind is power and power only. Avarice and hubris are what drives these people, and that's it.
After they interrogated my wife to check out her immigration status.
What?
They asked me if I had cameras in my house. Then proceeded to go through every cabinet, nook, and cranny of my house for a squirrel and raccoon.
They got a search warrant?
They got a
What
search
the fuck?
warrant. 4 departments and a judge signed off on a search warrant.
Who is this idiot fucking judge? Who is this fucking retard ass judge? Folks, let me know if you know who the judges and parties are involved in the comments below. I want to make a bit of a documentary. Do me a solid and hook me up.
And then they took them and killed them.
Why did they go through all that to get a search warrant for an animal that had been with you very safely and the world witnessed this
Holy shit, I'm hearing an intelligent thing on TMZ. What is going on in the world?
for 7 years? Why now suddenly did they show up with a search warrant and
7 years.
take these animals?
We haven't a clue. We don't know who made the complaints.
I can tell you who did it. Some fucking asshole that watched their social media account be successful that doesn't have more than a follower. Look, man, as someone who's a small content creator and is not getting anywhere, I'm fine with that. But you don't turn around and hate somebody else for success. I guarantee that's what caused this. My asshole senses are tingling.
Again, Pnut was an indoor squirrel, not harming anybody. He's been with us for 7 years. Not a single complaint was ever filed for this animal.
They would have known if he had
For
rabies.
7.5 years, he became the world's most famous squirrel. We weren't hiding him by any means. He was all over TikTok. He became the first squirrel on TikTok to ever hit 1 million followers.
And that's his downfall. He got on TikTok and he was successful, hit 1 million followers, and some bitch-ass, loathsome piece of crap human who can't get anywhere with their life, who's never going to count to anything or be anybody, they got upset about the fact that this squirrel was successful. Keep in mind, they were using this money to better their lives, yeah, but also to save and rescue animals. They turned around and did something positive out of it, guys. Why is that such a fucking problem for some retards? I don't understand this window-licking mindset of these goons that do this crap.
He did every news station around the world. He's helped people. He's helped kids gather joy. And then we started a nonprofit animal rescue called Pnut's Freedom Farm to help animals like Pnut fight a good fight when they're in a neglected case or they're sitting in a slaughter auction. And he was the cornerstone of our life and our organization. We used his platform to help raise money for the 300 animals we have at our sanctuary.
There you fucking go. 300 animals! 300 animals! I hope this guy sues the shit out of everybody involved, and I hope he wins. I know it's in New York, so it's unlikely. I hope they push it all the way up to some kind of federal court where it might get some focus. Maybe if we hate bomb these people enough on their social media accounts and blow up their office numbers, not blow up their office, guys. It's not a call for terrorism, but blow up the phone, call the phone, Jesus, don't get too crazy, YouTube. I clarified. And let them know how bullshit this is. Make sure you use words that aren't bullshit. Don't say that. But go and express without complaining too much or too aggressively your distaste in what happened here. In fact, here's a number posted right here. 607-776-2165. This is the number for NYS's DEC regional office. Please call and tell them how you feel. Yes, please do. Now, I have no dog in the fight with New York. I'm literally on the other side of the damn country from these idiots. Not everybody in New York's an idiot. Just the people running the state are fucking stupid. But the state that I'm in is just as stupid, if not worse. So, I feel your pain, dude. I feel your pain having to live in New York. But again, here's that number, 607-776-2165. Let's get everyone in the world to call these assholes and let them know how shitty fucking people they are and how terrible it is what they did. This is what we do. We stand up and we say, no, dog, you can't be doing this. This is unacceptable. And then we find out who's in charge of these offices, if they're even elected officials. That judge is an elected official. Once that person goes up for re-election, remind them when you go to the ballots why you're not voting for that asshole ever again. It's that simple. This is so crazy. I don't normally get uptight about it, but this case is so cut and dry as something that didn't need to fucking happen. Like, this is just too much government overreach. This isn't a guy keeping a bunch of pit bulls that attacked and killed someone. And again, don't get on to me. That's just an example, guys. I'm not against pit bulls. I understand not all pit bulls are like that. Okay? I'm just saying, when things are properly done, shit like that doesn't happen. This guy clearly, took a squirrel in. A squirrel. What this motherfuckers that did this, listen to that Ray Stevens song, The Day the Squirrel Went Berserk, a little too much. Just a little too much. And it's fucking weird, man. Yeah, they killed Pnut and Fred. That's fucked up. The John Wick. Oh my God. Some of this is really funny, but here you go. Here's the interim commissioner right here. This asshole. There you go. Makes $220,000 a year telling you can't own a squirrel. What a fucking goon. Damn, dude. Here's the number for him. Interim Commissioner Sean Mahar, 518-402-8545. Let them know what you think. I don't mind doxing these assholes because this is the kind of shit that happens to human beings all the time. And it's time we rein in these people that are supposedly in power and remind them that a public servant is someone that is supposed to be an employee of the people. Anyway, guys, rest in peace, Pnut the squirrel. Moment of silence for the little furry fella. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you think New York was justified? How mad are you? Without using gamer words, express to me your feelings. Let's go and give this guy here, what was his name again? Again, I don't know this guy at all since before today, but after reading about it, it's pretty clear that Pnut did nothing wrong. The fellow that owned Pnut, let's give him a shout out and say, hey, we're thinking about you. Donate some money to his rescue. Okay? Let's try to do something. Let's try to make something positive come out of this whole negative thing. And call those assholes and tell them how shitty they are. Sean Maher's office, 518-402-8545. It's not doxing. That's his office number. 518-402-8545. And I would hope that if I was in this situation, someone would come out and be in my defense too. Guys, watch out for each other and look out for the big bad government because it's not in your favor. The bigger the government, the smaller your freedom. Anyway, move out.